As the peaceful morning unfolded over the grayish-white rooftops of Alberobello, we were working with the locals to reinforce the fence protecting the olive groves. Suddenly, the shrill ring of a phone broke the calm, delivering an urgent message. Wild boar tracks had been discovered in the nearby woods, threatening to spill into the village fields. Without hesitation, our hunting team sprang into action, grabbing binoculars, walkie-talkies, and rifles. We knew this wouldn't just be another hunt. We were about to face a pack of wild beasts, and it was up to us to stop them before it was too late. Join us on the hunt. Setting off from the hill near the mulberry fields, we followed a trail right up to the forest edge. Suddenly, our hunting dog surged ahead, barking sharply, alert, and on edge. The team halted immediately. From experience, we knew a large black boar was hiding just behind the dense bushes. No chance to waste. John, the most seasoned hunter in the crew, calm and decisive, fired a quick, clean shot. The beast dropped instantly, quickly surrounded by the pack of dogs. But everyone knew the nightmare was just beginning. The rest of the herd wouldn't be so easy to handle. The real hunt had begun. As the hill grew steeper, we decided to move with Mark's red Ford Ranger to approach the opposite slope. Upon arrival, a heavy noise echoed from the hilltop, signaling the boar herd's charge was imminent. We took up ambush positions. Sure enough, moments later, a group of hefty wild boars thundered down the hill like runaway tanks. Gunshots cracked through the air, cutting down a few of them. But the herd was massive. The whole hillside trembled. For a moment, it felt like we were swallowed by a living wall of wild pigs. Without hesitation, John charged to block the front. Mark was right behind him. The final shot rang out, boom. The boar was fully controlled. The others panicked and scattered deep into the forest. Thanks to tight teamwork and sharp marksmanship, our hunting squad always completes the mission of protecting the forest peace. At midday, under the blazing sun, the team took a well-earned break. Suddenly, the dogs erupted into frantic barking from the hillside. As a hunter, I sensed the troublemaker was close. Following the trail, I found the dog surrounding a large boar, cornering it before it could escape downhill. A quick sight, a steady squeeze of the trigger, no wasted movement, absolute precision. The threat was neutralized. A tense finish, sweat dripping, one moment of carelessness, and the target could have vanished. This hunt was getting tougher by the minute. As dusk fell, the last rays faded behind the hills. Mark raised his scope, scanning the tree line. Suddenly, a large shadow appeared from the bushes, slowly heading toward the field below. Though distant, its eyes locked on us like a warning. Mark fired immediately. The shot startled the beast, sending it fleeing. John fired 2 more rounds, forcing it back into the woods. Though we didn't bring it down, we pushed the threat away from the farmland. The dogs' howls echoed as we sprinted along the hillside trail. John took the lead, spotting a boar trying to break into the field. He fired. The 7mm round sliced the air, but the boar was quick, dodging the shots and slipping into thick brush, making targeting nearly impossible. Refusing to give up, we pressed on. On a gentler slope, when the boar stepped on some wild shrubs, John fired again, boom. The first bullet hit, the boar charged toward us. A second shot followed immediately. The beast went down. The crops were safe, and so were we. By day's end, golden sunlight bathed the hillside. From afar, we spotted a writhing herd of wild boars devouring crops at the hill's base. Mark's radio crackled urgently. John opened fire, hitting several. The rest scattered wildly, retreating uphill toward the forest. Watching their escape route, I signaled the team not to pursue further. At least, we saved the village's harvest today. We returned to Albro Valley as twilight fell. Mark scrolled through the day's footage on his iPhone. Gunshots, forest footsteps, heart-beating chases. Everyone was tired, but today's victory was worth it. The hunt may be over for now, but the mission to protect the fields continues. What do you think about this wild boar raid? Leave a comment, share the video, and follow us so you don't miss the next adventure.
The Rio Grande Valley, with its dense terrain and abundant water sources, is the perfect habitat for wild boars to thrive. That's why this place is always a hotspot for thrilling night hunts. I came here not just to challenge myself, but to face off against some of the fiercest beasts in the southern United States. Join us as we begin this intense journey. Early in the morning, we arrived at the hunting site. All team members quickly checked their weapons before officially entering the battle. It didn't take long before we were met with a tense scene. A whole herd of wild boars of all sizes suddenly dashed across the trail ahead. We immediately released the hunting dogs to surround them and quietly moved in. As we got closer, the only female hunter in the team locked onto a target and fired. But the boar was too fast, causing the first shot to miss. Not letting it escape, I quickly chased after it, cutting off its path and fired a single shot. Fortunately, it was strong enough to bring the boar down shortly after. Silently hiding, we waited with the patience of seasoned hunters. Before long, a wild boar unexpectedly appeared in our sights. In a good position, I immediately pulled the trigger and fired multiple shots. But the tough creature kept running. I quickly gave chase and ended the pursuit with a decisive final shot. Fueled by success, the team climbed straight up the hill ahead. Beneath the thick canopy of old trees, a wild boar suddenly dashed past. I didn't hesitate, fired with confidence. The shot landed, causing the boar to tumble several times down the slope before lying still. continued scanning and soon spotted another group of wild boars. Tracking the trail, I chased the boar all the way to the grassy field below. Just as it paused for a brief moment, I seized the opportunity, pulled the trigger, and brought the chase to a swift end. On the way back, a wild boar suddenly appeared. I immediately jumped out of the vehicle, gun in hand, and positioned myself to intercept. Without a moment's delay, I fired a clean, decisive shot. The boar collapsed instantly, ending the unexpected encounter. Our hunting day wrapped up with pride-worthy results. Early the next morning, we regrouped, reviewed the plan, and headed to the next hunting spot, a hill with sparse trees and a clearer line of sight. Not far in, I spotted the first target. Calmly steadying my rifle, I fired. Just one opening shot, and the boar dropped immediately. We drove onto a flat stretch and released the hunting dogs. They quickly caught the scent and tracked down a boar. I rushed into position, locked onto the target, and fired. Not bad. A single shot was all it took to bring down the boar. Soon after, the team located another wild boar, large and muscular, but it too fell to my swift, well-placed shot. A fairly large boar attempted to cross to the other side of the forest. I raised my rifle and fired. The boar was quickly brought down. The hunt escalated in scale. Thanks to the dog's pursuit, we spotted more wild boars with bristly black coats on the run. In the end, our efforts were rewarded. Several more boars were successfully taken down. As the hunt came to a close, the exhaustion was outweighed by the deep sense of accomplishment. Thank you for joining us on this wild adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
since I was a boy. I grew up to the sound of gunfire and the scent of gunpowder drifting through ancient oak groves. This place isn't just a picturesque landscape, it's a sacred ground for wild boars, creatures both cunning and ferocious. Today is a special day. It's the day of the biggest hunt of the year, bringing together more than 20 hunters from across central Italy. We gathered early in the morning at the edge of Monte Amiata Forest with our pack of hunting dogs. I led a three-man team into the western part of the woods. Every step was a safety check. Gun loaded, bullets tucked into the leather pocket of my coat, eyes watching every branch that moved slightly. The hunting dogs picked up a scent and rushed into the trees. A loud noise erupted ahead, and I signaled for readiness. Suddenly, a massive wild boar charged out from the forest. I could only react instinctively. The gunshot rang out, the boar was hit and collapsed to the ground. Before we had time to celebrate, several more wild boars appeared. We kept firing. One of them, weighing over 100 kilograms, dropped to the ground. "Oh my God," Davide exclaimed as he witnessed the unbelievable scene before us. Luca quickly signaled to open fire, and I unloaded my rounds continuously. Some of the wild boars went down. We signaled the other hunting teams and began tracking the trail of this massive herd of wild boars. Around 9 a.m., as sunlight began to pierce through the damp canopy, we heard a strong rustling sound from the bushes ahead. Luca signaled us to stop. A wild boar emerged from the undergrowth. Perhaps sensing the danger, it bolted at full speed. We opened fire. Although the boar was hit, it still managed to flee into the forest. About 100 meters away, we found it was a fully grown wild boar. After marking the location of the boar, we continued our ambush at the spot. Suddenly, we heard the sound of hurried footsteps coming from the east. Now, as we turned, a wild boar appeared. It burst out from the bushes and was quickly taken down by a single shot. Wow, a precise shot eliminated the boar instantly. But we didn't stop there. We decided to go deeper into the forest in search of it. The forest was not as peaceful as it looked. Some areas were blocked by fallen trees. But what caught our attention were the massive footprints deeply pressed into the soil discovered by Luca. We decided to follow the trail. The closer we got to where the wild boars were active, the more signs we found of the ground being dug up by them. After about 30 minutes of searching, we saw a large-sized wild boar. We were determined not to let this one escape. Everyone held their guns tightly and kept a close watch on what lay ahead. A loud shot rang out. The wild boar fell instantly. It seemed that today's hunt was going smoothly, as we had managed to bring down these wild boars with ease. By the afternoon, we moved to the forest's edge to prepare for gathering our trophies and heading home. There, one more wild boar had been taken down. This would be the last boar we hunted. wild boars we harvest are usually distributed to families in the village or delivered to local processing facilities. In general, we make use of them, and wild boar meat is very delicious if you know how to prepare it properly. That's the end of today's video. What did you think of today's hunt? Leave us lots of comments below so we can hear from you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. On a hill west of the village, our hunting crew gathered around the campfire, gearing up for the biggest challenge yet. Lucas, the seasoned hunter now retired, shared tales of the fierce, cunning wild hogs that had torn through fields and left even the most legendary marksmen empty-handed. They bred relentlessly, wreaking havoc for years, becoming the nightmare of the entire region. Though we had high-tech gear at our fingertips, we knew this hunt wouldn't be easy. But this wasn't just a challenge, it was a duty to protect our homeland. As night fell, the battle helicopter took to the skies, its spotlight cutting through the darkness. The hunt had begun, and we were determined to reclaim peace for the village. At dawn, we boarded the helicopter and took off. Watching us, Lucas called out, "Bring back as many hogs as you can. Take care." Of course. Have you ever witnessed an aerial hog sweep before? Don't take your eyes off the screen. We're about to show you right now. Our crew flew low over the village fields. The helicopters roared, grabbing the attention of every creature below. Right then, a hog stepped into our sights. The chopper's noise had done its job, flushing it out of hiding. Leaning out the door, I locked onto the target. It was charging like a lightning bolt, but not for me. I squeezed the trigger. Boom. The bullet flew fast, matching its speed, and dropped it dead. Taking down the first target fired up the whole team's fighting spirit. Our helicopter moved toward the field bordering the forest. Just as expected, hogs were pouring out, wreaking havoc. Below us was a whole herd. Could this be the very group Lucas warned us about? I tightened my grip on the rifle. There was no way we'd let them get away. Take down every single one. The first target was quickly in my sights. I squeezed the trigger from the air, and the hog dropped fast. Next up, the second one. 2 shots later, it lay motionless on the ground, but the rest of the herd scattered quickly. It's tough to wipe out a whole pack with just a burst of gunfire. But we didn't give up. After a quick strategy check with James, we slowed the helicopter down, hovering low over the thick brush. I was sure the herd was hiding here, and as planned, we throttled down the engines to spook the wild hogs out. Just as expected, one hog appeared. That's our target. James' voice crackled over the radio. Even though it was just one, you could hear the excitement in his tone. When the hog dashed into the open ground, a series of sharp, deliberate shots rang out cold and precise. The hog dropped on the spot. We kept the helicopter gliding through the air. Up ahead, the herd panicked and scattered, with one massive beast standing out, a giant around 200 pounds, the main target of the hunt. Careful aim, steady breath, and the shot was almost perfect. The giant hog collapsed, the ground shaking, dust rising in a cloud, closing a tense moment. Our team's resolve was clear. We wanted to show Lucas that even the Gen Z hunters could carry on his legacy and protect the crops. Over on this side, Jack and Mark were closing in on a target. The helicopter tilted gently, circling above the hog. Startled by the sudden noise, the wild hog panicked and bolted. Mark stayed calm, lined up the shot through his scope, and pulled the trigger decisively. The bullet quickly took down the prey. Today's hunt was overwhelmingly in our favor. With high-tech gear and precision teamwork, nothing seemed able to stand in our way. Today was definitely going smoothly. Over the radio, James signaled, "Wild hog herd spotted." Quickly, I loaded my rifle. Through the helicopter window, I took aim, held my breath, squeezed the trigger. Fast and flawless. One down, then 2. We had taken a heavy toll on the herd during today's hunt. We were doing great, proving to Lucas that the Gen Z hunters still had what it takes. This land, these fields, this life, we're here to protect them all, no matter what. The sun was fading as our team decided to sweep one last time before heading back. While scanning from above, we spotted one final hog, the last target of the day. Without hesitation, I took the shot. The hog dropped, restoring peace to the village and closing out today's hunt. The helicopter touched down on a clearing near the hill's base, the engine slowly winding down. Lucas had been waiting for us all along. Seeing the trophies we brought back, he couldn't hide his surprise and respect. After a firm handshake, he smiled and said, "Well done, boys." But the journey isn't over. There's no way we can wipe out all the hogs in just one day. Tomorrow, we'll be back out there again. Follow us on our next hunt. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe.